This is what I'm going to show you what we're going to make today. I'm doing a video after the fact, so you're going to hear me say, hi, this is Bonnie from Lavinia World in just a second, but I want you to see what it is we're going to work on. I'm going to show you a really kind of close up. We're going to learn how to do some wood, faux wood in the background, and then I went ahead and added this to a wooden I guess you want to call wall hanging. It actually had words on it, and I just covered it up with the project that we're going to work on today. So let's get started. Hi, this is Bonnie from Lavinia World, and today we're going to have some fun making some faux wood background, and then we're going to do some stamping. So you have noticed some of my videos where I spray my blending brush with a little bit of water to make my background, and today I'm going to be doing that again. So the very first part here is just a matter of me using, again, this is Distress Oxide Pumice stone, and using a little bit of water on my blending brush, and this will help very well making the faux wood. There's a couple of different things you can do to make the faux wood. It doesn't have to be this color. You can think in different colors. You can make like a blue background if you wanted to. So just remember that this basically is just going to have a wood look. And you've seen me do this before with other blending techniques. This also raises up the cardstock a little bit. Again, if you don't want that, you can use the watercolor paper. And if you use ones with texture for the wood, would even be even better, because you know sometimes the watercolor paper has really fabulous texture. That would be fun to see that one done up, I think. I also know that you could probably, even if you really wanted to, emboss this first, but you don't need to. I'm just saying with this, all you need is some ink, and we can get that faux wood look. And you can think of all these things you can do. It could be a circle, it could be a background to making an ornament, it could be anything. But this is going to be our faux wood technique, and that's how we're going to start. And I'm going to let that dry and I'll be back. Okay, for the fun part now, basically you're going to get the pumice stone again, and all you're going to do is take your entire stamp and just rub it across. So I wanted it to lay a little bit flatter, but I think this will be fine. And actually, if you have any type of imperfections on my mat here, they will show up. So if you have like any bumps or anything underneath, that's going to show up. Oops, I really swept around. Sorry about that. So yeah. You just rub it across. I kind of like did it so that it would, I kind of lift it up. I don't do completely flat. I kind of lift it up slightly. It depends on what you want to do. If you want it to continue to go to the other end, and that just kind of like gives you your wood lines. And that's pretty much what you do for that part. And then the next thing I do is I picked up another color, and the color I picked up was weathered wood. It's got a little bit more of a darker gray and blue cast, and you just kind of like go over that little bit. And again, I'm kind of lining it up a little bit to where the lines were that I already did. You can see. Now, if you don't want it this dark, you just leave it the way it was. It's like kind of like painting with the edge of the ink pad. Keep swirling on me. Now I'm going to go back over. I got the kind of like the lines, and I'm going to kind of lightly, very lightly rub over the top to get some of that little bit of a more of a wood look to it. You know, every time you do this, it'll be different depending on how hard you push. So I think I want a little bit more of that. There we go. So that's going to be the look. That's what I'm going to be doing. I'm going to be using that to make my card. Okay, so for my card, these are the stamps that I have selected to use. And there's this one, and it is called LAV 572 Druids Inn. And I'm also going to be using LAV 627 Sea Flower. This is a fabulous, fabulous stamp. And I'm going to be using one of these mice from, let's see, 3 Woodland mice. It's LAV 402. And then I am going to be using, oops, Ariel, she's a small one, LAV 473. Those are the stamps I am going to be using to create this card. I'm going to make myself a little woodland card. Okay, so for the first thing, I am using VersaFine Clair Pinecone. I'm going to make my tree, so this tree is brown. It's a dark brown, but it is lighter than using, obviously, the black, so there will be a difference in the two when I stamp. I like the variations in the design. Okay, let's see if that did, and that did really, really well. Yeah, I think I might give it just one more pass of some ink. I do like it to be just a little bit darker. Now I'm not going to, usually I emboss it with clear embossing powder. This one is not going to be embossed. I want that look in the background, again, to be a little bit more faded by not embossing it. Okay, that's the way I want it. That is perfect. Then the next one I want to use is the fairy, the Ariel fairy. And normally I have these all cleaned off, but I didn't because I had already done a practice one and I didn't clean them off. So she is going to be standing right here. And I want to make sure that you can see her wand. So, and she is going to be stamped in Nocturne, VersaFine Clear Nocturne. We'll get her going. Now, I am not going to be stamping the mouse on here. He became very hidden. I had put him on the steps there, and he didn't show up. So what I do is I get that off of there, is I stamp him on a separate piece of paper, and I hand cut him. Now he is a little bit more detailed. He has a lot of little hairs on him, and I did the best I could at stamping him, or at cutting him out. I keep forgetting to show you the one I had worked on first because I want to color it, and I haven't colored it yet, but I'm going to go ahead and show it to you in just a second. Okay, she needs to be stamped again. And again, I think this has a lot to do with how much ink is on my pad. And I'm thinking, you know, I re-inked this one, but I never know how much ink to really put on it because I don't usually re-ink pads. I haven't had to do that yet. And I think it needs more ink. Okay, let's see. Yeah, now, and the deal is with her, I do use clear embossing powder on her. And it could be, too, the reason some of that doesn't stick as well is because I do have that Distress Oxide behind her. Let's just see. There we go. That's what I want her to look like. So she needs to be heat embossed right away. I'm going to put clear embossing powder on her, and I'm going to be careful not to get it on the tree because it's still wet, because that's the one thing that's cool about the VersaFine Clair ink is it does stay wet a little bit longer. Okay, now for the next one I use the sea flower, and for the sea flower I use the Morning Mist, VersaFine Clair Morning Mist. And again, the color's a little bit lighter because I want it to be more in the background. And you can see that one needs to be a little bit darker. You know what? I think I might have used, when I did my original one, I might have used the Nocturne. Let me see after I do the second stamping. Yes, I did not use, I tested out doing the Morning Mist, but I ended up using, because I do want that a little bit darker, I did use the Nocturne. Give that another stamp, and I'll show you what I mean. I just love this stamp. I love the fine details. Yeah, that's what we did. And it's because the leaves are a lot more fine, so they do look more in the background. What I did was I placed this on each side because I wanted it to be a little bit more balanced when I went to stamp it, but I don't want it to be totally symmetrical because it wouldn't be in real life. So I'm just going to go ahead and continue to stamp with a Nocturne and make my tree leaves. I'm going to go ahead and stop this and start again so I can speed it up. All right, so I forgot to tell you I did use the mushrooms, the Slender mushrooms mini, and it's LAV 151. So that's what I did last, what I was showing you, and I've got that all stamped up. Now what I need is this little mouse that is going to be sitting right here. And as you can see, I have them in the wrong way. They actually stamp the other way around. So I had to do a reverse mouse. Now, as you know, they aren't always the best stamps response, but this is what I did, is I inked up the little mouse, and I did this in one of my first videos. And what I do is I stamp on this rubber. I have tried all kinds of acrylic and different things, and they have not worked. This is the best that I can get in terms of a stamp, a clearer stamp. And if I don't, because I'm going to cut it out, I can do it again. So you stamp on the rubber and you just push it down onto your paper. Now in this case it doesn't matter where it's stamped because I'm cutting it out, which would be really nice if they made rubber that was clear, but the acrylic, like I said, just does not, it's not porous, it's too slippery. And this is porous, and that's what you need. All right, let's check it out. Now he looks pretty good. I'm going to try it one more time. He's a little bit fuzzy, but you can see his hair. But before I do that, I am going to have to put embossing powder on him, or I won't be able to, I just put embossing powder on him, or I will not be able to, he looks better when he's got embossing powder on. Just trust me. I will show it to you before I cut him out. So I'm going to try it again. I'm just going to do one more. See if I can even get a better imprint or stamp. And I'm putting them on the bottom corner because it's easier for me to know where they're at. That one looks darker to begin with. That's cool. Then I can just line that up. So the darker they are, the better. Now if they don't stamp well, then you just wipe it off with a rubbing alcohol and try again. Yeah, I think that one looks a little bit better. So I'm going to go ahead and put the clear embossing powder on him, and then I'm going to heat him up and I'll show you what he looks like. Okay, so those are my two choices. This is the one that came out a little bit darker, and then I've got this one. He was a little bit lighter when I stamped him. They both look really pretty good. But I'm going to go ahead and use this one on the card. Now I'm going to show you my very first card, or my practice card if you want to call it that, so you can see what it is I'm trying to accomplish. That's my little mouse. He is on foam tape, so he raises up from where he's at. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to get this little guy cut out, and he's going to go on my card. Okay, so there's one other thing I do to add a little bit of texture. What I can show you in the, like I said, my original, I actually creased it to make it look like a little bit more wood. And so that's what I'm going to do, is I'm going to pick out what I consider looking like lines, and I'm just going to run this over the entire thing. And then I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to pick this one. And yep, it's going to go right over the tree to give me some, like I said, texture. It's not that you're going to be able to see it really great in the video, but for real you can see it a little bit better. And I'm not going to go over her because I embossed her, so I'm going to come right up to her and go around her. I think I'm going to add one more. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to take it, and I'm actually literally going to bend this. Whoops, I lost something. I'm just going to bend that on the creases. You're thinking I'm ruining it, I'm sure. Okay, so all those are bent that way. Then I'm going to go ahead and bend them back the other way. And the reason for that is I do kind of like want that part to stick up ever so slightly. I'm going to run my ink back over that really lightly. This one I didn't do all the way down here, so I'm just doing the top part of it. You can already see, I think you can see how it's got that little bit of a indentation in it. I think you can see that. So that's kind of cool for real. So it gives it a little bit more of a, wood look. And I think, you know what, I kind of like it the way it is. This one I did rub a little bit more ink. You can see how I rubbed more ink over that, so you can see how that goes. But you know what? I'll show you because I just want you to see what I did so you have an idea. That one I used the darker wood on it. So what I kind of do is I just fold that and rub it. if that makes sense to you. So just, and here I don't think I'm going to do too much because I don't want to really mess up the stamp. So I'm just doing a little. I mean, you can kind of see that. I mean, it's really subtle. I got one more over here I want to do. It's almost like you're distressing an edge and using the ink pad to do it. So that's the look. Okay, so I have got this finished. I colored that in with colored pencils. And I used a gold gel pen to do some highlighting around the door and some of the vines that are wrapped around. And then I also attached the little mouse, and I added a gold sparkly gem to the center of her wand, and I added a little brad for the doorknob. So that's just a little bit of embellishments I did, and I just wanted you to see how that turned out in the end. So there's a chance I'm not sure if I will make a card or if I'll put this on a wood frame thing like I've done before. If I do that, I will share that at the beginning when you first start watching. So you can see, or you can always go back to see what I ended up doing. So I just wanted to thank you for stopping by and remind you that all of the product is listed below from the Lavinia World store. And I would love for you to subscribe, and if you could share it. And thanks again.